Charlie Kirimpura here in Dallas, Texas. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today you are in my kitchen and I'm going to walk you through some of my daily preparation here. This is my lunch preparation, and I do have, this is about the same thing I have every day with some variety, some changes. I take a lot of berries as part of my meal. Blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, some mango, and some nuts. I also like to add in some protein. I'm just going to just put some, I mix all this up together. You know, they say the best ideas come from the kitchen. So every Sunday I like to start the week by preparing my meals right here in the kitchen and strategizing on my plans for the week. So what I do is I mix up all the fruits here, some fresh mango. Everything I do is like to have fresh fruits, and everything is natural. I try to use, people ask me whether I use supplements. I do take supplements, but I don't really rely on supplements for my nutritional intake. So after mixing all this up, put in some of the protein here into my mix. Now, this is my mix. My family they don't care for having protein in this mix. They think it's crazy with me, but I like it and I enjoy it, and that's really all that matters, right? And I enjoy it. Also, I take a lot of nuts here. Nuts is really good to take. If you try to do this as part of your training, is have a lot of nuts. Nuts really helps with recovery. Very good for the body. It's just taking, and the nuts I take is a mixture of a lot of nuts. It's got almonds, cashew nuts, pistachios. So it's just take all that and I mix that in. And this is my lunch preparation with some yogurt, fresh yogurt. Today I'm going to talk to you about three things really important for your training. By now you should be following your training plan. First thing I want to talk to you about is your training plan and watching for injuries as well as soreness. So as you start racking up your miles, this is what they call the grind. The grind is you're doing this week in, week out, right? Your miles are high. There will be mornings that you wake up and you do not want to run, right? You don't feel like running. You're wondering why you're doing the Chicago Marathon and what's all this about and why did you even think about doing this? It just happens to a lot of us, right? But that's why they call this a grind. The grind is you're just pushing forward. You're doing the training and you focus, right? You focus on the goal. I promise you, this will be worth it, okay? So, with your training plan, something really important to watch for is soreness or irritations. Don't take them lightly, okay? Watch for those. Soreness or an irritation is your body's way of telling you that some adjustment needs to occur. And the adjustment might be very slight. It might be as well as just doing a lot more stretching, a lot more foam rolling. Maybe some massages would be recommended, but it's just your body's way of telling you that some attention is required. So I'll give you an example of something I recently had. Weeks ago, I was doing my long run on a Saturday, and I started off, I was feeling some tightness in my left psoas muscle. It's hard to raise my leg. And about 3 miles in, I knew this is not going to go away. And I just kept pushing forward. I said, maybe I'm not just feeling good, and this will eventually go away, but it did not. And so after 12 miles, I pretty much backed off the run. And I called it out. It was supposed to be a 17-mile run, but I backed out at 12 miles. Following day I ran, I had 8 miles of my plan. I put the 8 miles in, and I thought maybe the soreness would go away because I'm doing a lot more massaging and rolling. It just did not go away. My psoas muscle was seemed to flare up and it's really irritable. So if I took it a whole rest day, which is Monday, come Tuesday I started up and psoas muscle was even more inflamed. And I talked to my coach, asked her to give me 2 days off on my calendar. Actually, I told her to give me the whole week off. I said 2 days to the entire week, and guess what she did? She just gave me exactly 2 days. 2 days of rest, and I did a lot of foam rolling, a lot of stretching, and just rested up the psoas muscle. In the process, I actually found out that my IT band was strained, and if your IT band gets tight, it's really more tight than anything else. It just makes running more difficult. IT band issues are probably one of the things that really hurt a lot of runners, so watch out for that. This is an example of what I call a niggle. Niggle is something, an irritation or soreness is not going away. And you just have to watch for it carefully as your training unfolds. Even though you're doing your stretching, rolling, something will come, right? Because your mileage is going up, and your body is just going to come back and tell you that you need to adjust along the way. Some places. So that's the first thing, is your training plan and watching for soreness. The second thing to talk to you about this next week is going to be the first week of September. We got the Labor Day weekend coming up, and then I've got about 4 weeks of training, and then after that, I start resting up before the marathon. Second thing I'm going to talk to you about, actually this is my third thing, sorry. The third thing, very important, is what I call finalizing your experimentation for the marathon. So, come race day, which is going to be in October, you're going to run the marathon. You will have to decide on what shoes you're going to wear. You're going to have to decide on your nutrition on that day. You're going to have to decide also on your clothes that you're going to have to wear on that day. Shoes, nutrition, highly important. So, to try and decide on your shoes, okay, this is my running shoes that I use here. And this is the pair that I'm going to run with. Now, how did I decide on this pair of shoes? This is my favorite pair. On my shoes here, I've got here inscribed 2023 Chicago Marathon. My wife Leica, Kelly, and Karena. This is their names on my shoes here. Now, how did I finalize on this pair? Okay, this is what I call experimentation. So I've got 5 different running shoes, and I rotate the shoes every time. And I was trying to decide on what pair I'm going to wear for the marathon. Weekend, when I did my long run, I was trying to decide between this pair and another pair, which is between these two. I just could not decide, so I picked the other pair. And 10 miles, and this other pair that I have, it has got a lot of cushioning, and heel support is actually very good. The heel support is very good. A lot of cushioning, and typically when I run with that pair, I do not use insoles. This pair, I always run with insoles. So orientation, try to decide on what you need to do. You want to try and decide on that way before your marathon. You do not want to wait the day before a marathon and try to decide on your pair of shoes. That's the worst mistake to make. Make your choice way before, weeks before your marathon. So if you're making a choice on your shoes, do it now. That's what I call experimentation. Second thing, very important to talk about, is goo gels. Several different types of goo gels, but the ones that I experimented with is the banana flavor goo gel, and I also like to use the lemon flavor goo gel. So these are two my favorite flavors here. Now, I have experimented with I use in the marathon I use this Rehydrate gels here. I experimented in the past with other gels. I've tried other things, You want to finalize the experimentation on your nutrition in your long runs. So when you're doing your long runs on the weekend, few things: finalize your shoes, finalize the nutrition. Do not wait for the day of the day before the marathon, which is when you're going to go to the expo, right? You go to the expo, and the expo is when you start meeting all these different vendors. And they're all going to try and sell you their nutrition and their best gels, saying that this is the best thing ever you could do. Do not try and experiment. Do not try anything new just before the marathon. Do all this experimentation way before. Make sure you finalize it. If you do try something new, you're taking a big risk that you might have it might cause issues in your stomach. Your body may not adjust well with it, right? So the gels, the shoes, all this is what I call experimentation, finalizes weeks before the marathon. The third thing that I'm going to talk to you today, this is very important, is what I call mental training. So you're going through all these weeks of training. This is physical training. Physical training is your body's getting ready. It's getting ready to run the marathon. Okay, 26.2 miles is not an easy one. It's not a run around the block. That's a long distance. Your body and your mind need to connect. Okay, this is where I say they have to talk to each other. So with mental training, I would highly recommend there are a lot of videos on the Chicago Marathon, the course. Watch the videos, start picking a few parts of the course that to try and familiarize yourself with. So one I like to focus on is Lincoln Park. That's just coming out of mile 3, 3 miles into the race. You head north towards Lincoln Park. And I like to think about that because I know I'm probably going to have some family there waiting for me, and it's a highly joyful moment. The other part of the marathon, I'm getting just past the midway, halfway through it. You're heading right into Chicago, and the crowds are just cheering. They're going just crazy. They're just welcoming you into Chicago, and your heart rate is very high. It's a really excitable moment. My third favorite part, which I like to focus on, is Chinatown. Just start trying to visualize the marathon. And actually, if you have time even now, I mean, we've got some weeks out, start writing up a plan, right? You should really write out a whole plan from the very first mile to the very end. Just write it on your plan, start writing down the historic sites, the places you're going to expect to see. Watch these videos, start really building this plan. And all this, I put this down as a mental training that you have to do. Remember, your body's gone through all this physical training. Now, if you have to prepare your mind to actually go through that entire distance, so that come race day, your mind and your body are going to have that good, solid communication back and forth. The last thing about mental training is what I call zone training itself, and it's just your body and your mind are going lockstep together. Zone training is something also you can, as you're doing these miles and you're trying to going through the grind here, and you're putting in these long miles, maybe your long weekend run, 20 mile, and your last 3 miles, just try and focus, get into that zone. I can't explain it, but it's just something when you, like I said, your body and your mind start really trying to connect. You keep all the distractions out and you're just so focused on your goal in your marathon. So that's the last thing I'll do. My next video is going to be shortly before the Chicago Marathon. I did run the Chicago Marathon before, and so in my last video here for the marathon, I'll talk to you a little bit about what to expect in the Chicago Marathon, just some do's and don'ts about what you should do, what to expect for when you get into Chicago. That's about it. Good luck with your training, and thank you. This is Charlie.